have some good news and I have some bad news. Which one do you guys want first? Okay, the bad news is there is no enhanced version this week. The good news is that it's a really good episode anyway. And when we get to the part where we talk about making an L with your hands, just imagine the cover of the Clueless VHS, you know, or someone sticking out their hands, or a kid trying to figure out which one's left and right, you know, using that mnemonic device of which of your thumb and forefinger make the L. This will make sense when you get there. Let's start the episode. Jeff Rubin Show. I am Jeff Rubin, joined this week by Craig Rowen.
Hello, how are you, Jeff?
My favorite way to introduce Craig is to talk about the time where I met Craig, and we were shooting the College Humor graduation parody video that I'd written with Streeter, and it called for Streeter and I were friends in high school in this video, and Streeter then goes on to college and makes new friends, and the script called for like me, Jeff, being replaced with the most like me person we could find. Right. And I believe Craig was the Jewiest.
Yeah, I was the college version of you, which is also funny.
I was the college version of me in that sketch, too. So you weren't, like, younger.
You're right. I was like the doppelganger, the evil version, the replacement.
Yeah, just the closest facsimile.
The funny thing about that, though, is I've been in a handful of College Humor videos, and I think in every one of the comments, they're like, oh, it's the other Amir. So it's like, it's funny. Yeah. So it's funny that it's like, you guys used me, but it's like everybody just thinks I'm like him. So it's like you could have almost used him. But I'm saying is basically the casting was terrible.
Now, this whole podcast is going to be about that one time that we kind of looked like each other.
Yes, well, I remember what I ate. I ate a sandwich that day.
It's not going to be about that.
Oh, okay, no, okay, because I kept a lot of notes from that day that I'm ready to talk about.
We are going to have to save those for the next time you're on the show, because today I want to talk about the time that you asked the internet, you made a video asking for $1 million, and then lied to everyone and said you had received it. But before we even get to that, because that's going to require further explanation, I want to talk about your work on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Sure.
So you are the head writer for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Yeah, I'm currently the head writer. I've been working there for 1 year and for one season, and just the main question that usually gets asked me is like, what do you actually write? Because people sort of assume...
This is great. I don't even have to do it.
Yeah, but that's like the one thing that people usually like, wait, you write the things that she says in between the questions? And the answer is no. The writers write the questions.
That's all Meredith.
Meredith is she's awesome. She does all of the in-between stuff, and she's like the best host. So she has the ability to think and speak on her feet.
I would love to hear more about how you do that, but I suspect you probably can't talk about it because of laws and stuff.
Because it's an actual game show where they give out money. So I'm like, I that's my one worry here, is that I can't talk about a lot of the stuff.
Fair enough.
So but yeah.
So in addition to this Who Wants to Be a Millionaire game show thing, you also did this Millionaire stunt. Was that while you were working on the show?
No, this was before.
So you have
this was totally separate.
You have $2 million things completely unrelated.
Yes.
Can you explain? We kind of touched on the beginning. What happened with that stunt?
Yeah, so basically what it was I did a series of videos called Please Give Me $1 Million, and in each video, in the first video, I just said, this video is for millionaires. If you have $1 million, if you're a millionaire, please give me $1 million. So the thesis of it was pretty much, come on, you've got money.
Yeah.
What's $1 million if you have multi-million dollars? So I named a bunch of millionaires and said, give me $1 million. And that was basically the idea. And I did 3 videos. I got some responses from people, and I followed through, even though they're obviously, not real millionaires, some of them. But no matter what, if you emailed me, I responded. And in the second 2 videos, I sort of responded to them, and then I expanded it to corporations and like other lists of people that would give me $1 million. And then,
okay, that's good.
So that was the original idea, and then at a certain point, people sort of just around. I do perform at the Upright Citizens Brigade, and among people there, they liked it, and people kept asking me, like, you get $1 million yet? You get $1 million yet? And after the third video, I was like, I'm not going to keep making these videos. Like, they're getting, as I'm going through them, they're you know, like, I don't have that much room to explore the idea of asking for $1 million, and I didn't want to keep doing it, but I love the idea. So I was like, why don't I just end this in a fun way, and I'll say I got $1 million. And I realized that it could be something like people, at least around me, would be interested in it and would be like, whoa, this is crazy. So I really kept it on the down low. Like, there were only a handful of people who knew about it. Will Hines, who directed some of the videos, Adam Lustig, who helped me write some of them, and J.D. Amato, who helped produce the live show, and Jim Santangeli, who directed the live show.
J.D. Amato, who produces Chris Gethard's show?
Yeah.
Oh, I know he worked on that.
Yeah. So
he produced a few Nerd Alerts, too.
Yeah, he's super funny and really smart. And weirdly, like, when I was doing the first original videos, I sort of, like, we joked together. We were talking about something else, and I was like, yeah, I should say I got $1 million. And then when I did it, I was like, oh, I should talk to him about it, because he got excited about that.
I actually assumed that the whole thing was one piece, and you were like, I'll make these videos of asking for $1 million, then I'll say I got the $1 million. But you did, because the videos were funny in their own right. Like, if you never did anything else, they were funny videos. I think they did pretty well online.
Yeah.
I saw them in a lot of places.
They did, yeah. They got passed around on, like, a handful of blogs, but that's I mean, that's what I'm sort of, I mean, this might be lame to say, but I'm, like, proud of it, because I didn't go into it with that idea. We went into it just with this, it's a fun idea, let's see what happens. Something weird could happen, who knows? But then it sort of turned into this thing, and as an improviser, the idea of, like, yes ending something, it's like heightening it to the next degree, and it just sort of naturally happened, and then it exploded, and I mean, it was nuts.
So you told everyone, via the internet, and you made a video about this, and everyone picked up on it, that someone had agreed to, in fact, give you $1 million.
Yeah, so what I did was I talked to my friends who were in on it, and I was like, I want to do a live show, and I pitched it to Anthony King, who is the artistic director of the UCB Theater. I want to do a live show where I say I get $1 million. He was like, great, totally. And I was like, don't tell anybody. And I put up the video. I'm wearing a tuxedo, like there's champagne. It's like this big thing, and I say there's a contract where I'm going to get $1 million from a millionaire. And then I put it up at midnight. And usually when I put up a video, I send it to like a couple of people or a couple of blogs. And overnight, it had thousands of views. The show, which I don't know if I knew was online yet, the live show, sold out like the morning after. The
live show where you were theoretically going to receive $1 million. The live show
where I was going to get, so that was the idea. I'm going to get it live on stage. And then immediately it blew up. And the craziest was, that morning I got a knock on the door. My mom called me and she said, the Daily News is calling me. I gave them your number. They're calling about this. And I had sort of told my parents the idea, but I don't think, I do videos all the time. I don't know if they really knew what was going on. And then all of a sudden, the Daily News is calling me, and I'm scared to talk to them because I don't know what the hell to do. And then they're at my front door. They get in my building, and they're knocking on my door. So I'm like, I've never been as paranoid as I was. So it was 2 weeks from when I announced it to the show, and I was constantly having like a nervous breakdown.
And it generally seemed like people believed you. I think there was some can this possibly be real? But people were generally on board, right?
Yeah, I think there were a handful of websites that were skeptical about it, but
you seem to have made it very airtight. It didn't seem.
Yeah, that's the thing. I didn't give a last name. In the interviews, I would never give a last name
of the guy giving you the $1 million.
Of the guy giving me $1 million. And my parents were getting phone calls, and they were just like, when people would ask them, they wouldn't really respond, or they'd just say, you have to ask him what's going on. And only so many people knew. And then after a while, I basically, the idea for the live show was totally, when I pitched it to Anthony King, when I initially decided to do it, it was totally different than what I did. Because once the whole world knew, I was on Japanese TV, I was on Australian TV, I was on Canadian TV, I was on American TV. It became a news story. It was on the third page of the Daily News, and the next week, the Egyptian revolution.
Spring, right? That's a thing?
Yeah, that was on the same page that this was. So, I mean, this was like for some reason, and it was sort of after, what's his name?
You were on the cover of the Daily News, as I recall, right?
I think it was
or
like
one of the
it
tabloid
was like,
papers.
Yeah, it was like right there. And this is like a couple weeks after the guy with the radio voice,
the man with
homeless
the
guy.
voice.
Yeah. So like people wanted to believe it. And I mean, it was crazy. It was just crazy.
Did
Yeah.
you get anyone that was, or did you get a sense that people were like mad at you because you were, they believed you were getting money that you didn't really earn?
Oh yeah, I mean, if you go back to that video, if you go back to, it's called "Please Give Me $1 Million Success," and if you go back to around,
how many views does it have?
I think it has around like. That one probably has about 500,000, and the original has like 600,000. But then it was put up on other, people ripped it onto other sites
sure.
and stuff. But if you go back to like January 2011 and look at the comments, most of them are like, "Fuck you! You don't deserve this. You have huge eyebrows." Like all this, like all this, like malicious stuff.
Not only do you not deserve the money, you've also got huge eyebrows.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, people, whoops. If you don't know this, but my chair just fell down.
If you're not one of the two of us, you might not be aware.
But my chair just slunk down. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people were upset. And it's funny talking to people like I did, like Gemberling once pointed out. He was like, yeah, everybody said they were happy for you, but people were fucking pissed that this actually worked. Like that's
What was the story that the guy was? What was the millionaire going to do? So why was he giving you $1 million in the story?
So in the original video, it was just he said he was going to give me $1 million. Then I mean, there's so much to this, but on stage, it became this thing of this guy was a millionaire, and we this guy who we cast to be a millionaire.
So you just like put up something on Craigslist?
Like a couple weeks before, like a week or two before we posted the video, we did a casting call for a millionaire. And in the original show, which we didn't do, there were two millionaires. One who was supposed to give me $1 million, and then halfway through the show, chicken out and say this is stupid when it's realized it's a comedy show and it's all BS. And then the idea was me freaking out on stage, me asking the audience, does anybody know a millionaire? And then calling somebody, having an audience plant, call a millionaire they know, have him come to the theater. I mean, listen to how convoluted it was. And then once it became this international news story, I immediately realized that's not going to work, because the second I say it's not going to happen, the whole show is going to deflate. So the millionaire who's going to walk out, who we cast as just a small part in the show, now was the real millionaire. So
he was quite good.
He was great. I mean, he was amazing, and he created his own story. The thing that if you watch the live shows online, I made a compilation too. He makes up this story that somebody invested in. Oh, he invested in somebody when he was younger because he had the money, and now he likes to every once in a while give money to people with ideas just to be creative. And somebody told me that they saw somebody in the audience cry when he was talking. I mean, it was God. Like
that's so
it was, and I mean that's crazy. It was crazy, and we were nervous. Like, is this going to work or not? And it was like, it was the most insane thing. I mean, the energy on stage when he was giving me the check, I could feel everybody in the audience, in the theater, just like leaning forward. You could just, I've never felt that on stage. Like everybody 100% like just, like this weird, incredible energy on stage. It was nuts.
So then how did the show end, and what did the audience do then?
So the show ended. I triumphantly have the check, and I sort of shake some people's hands in the audience, and then I quiet the audience and I give a speech, and I say how, this spiel about, you got to swing for the fences, you got to, go for it. And then I think the line was at the end, you got to go for it or whatever, because sometimes you ask for $1 million and you get it, and sometimes you ask for $1 million and you don't. And then I raised the check in the air, and I had this I mean, the magician never tells his trick, but there was a thing in my hand that was like a flint thing, and I lit it on fire, and it sort of like exploded. The check. I lit the check on fire, and it exploded, and then sort of there were like gasps, And then I left, and then a video played that sort of revealed that the whole thing was fake, like showing us auditioning the Millionaire and all that stuff.
So the energy you were feeling with everyone leaning in when you were getting the check, what were you feeling at the end of the show? Because in watching that video, you can hear the audience like audibly gasp.
I think there's audibly gasp.
There's, like,
I
shock.
think at the end, I don't know if it's in all the videos, but at the end of that the video plays, you can hear one person yell, "Fuck you." So I mean, but I think people were just. They believe, I mean, it was so real in that moment that people were just shocked immediately. And then I think some people thought it was hilarious. Some people were sort of bummed out by it. But I think what I've gotten from it afterwards is just like a lot of positive. I think there's some people who, I guess it's fine if you're upset by it. If you're upset that I didn't get $1 million, like, good for you. You're genuinely you wanted me to get $1 million. That's nice. But I mean, if you're upset by it, I think you sort of missed the point. Even though I don't know what the point is.
Yeah, that's my next question. Why did you do this? What was the point?
The point was just going for it. I mean, it was like I think
the speech was legit.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was like I don't know. I mean, not to be a cheeseball, but like I really liked the video idea. Like I really liked making the original videos, and it was really fun. And like, I'm sort of the type of guy that like the reason I made the videos was because I had time. I was in between jobs. I'd finished like a freelance job, and I like making videos, and I really liked it. And I was like, why don't I just, this has a logical conclusion that could be awesome. What if I just did it? What if I just went balls out? And I've never done anything that sort of scary. I mean, that was literally, I was fearful. Like I got recognized in Times Square by people saying $1 million, and I like, the Daily News was at my door. Like I got paranoid because, people were saying when we were talking about it, when I talked to Anthony King and we had security there, like in addition to like being funny that they're being security checking bags, but like it's a nuts thing like that would happen. So it was like,
wait, you had security for theater? You were actually worried about something?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of both.
You had security, like the security was theatrical?
But it was actual security because you never know. I mean, like people were saying negative things online and everything, like people were a little bit worried, so they were like, let's do it. It'll be funny as well. I mean, the fact that bags will be checked is hilarious and will make people think it's real, but it's like also, what if something happened?
So was there any point of the 2 weeks where like it felt like it was gonna get away from you, where you felt like you were in over your head? It sounds like you felt that way immediately.
Yeah, immediately.
Like waking up the next morning.
Immediately. And especially, I mean, my parents, like, I didn't want.
Parents just don't get viral video web pranks for some reason.
Well, the thing is, like, they immediately became involved in a way because they were receiving calls about this. Like this became a thing where, like, I was getting emails from like people I haven't talked to in a long time. Not like asking me for money. Although I also got 1,000 email. I mean, I have 1,000 emails from people from around the world asking me for money.
You should publish that as a book.
I mean, it is crazy. I still get them once in a while. It is crazy. But wait, what was the question was? Did it get away? Yeah. So I mean, I did not expect it, and there were moments where I was like, let's not do the show and make everybody know it's fake earlier. Like if there's a way to do this on TV like tonight and make it people know it's not real, I would like to do that.
You just you wanted out.
Yeah, oh totally.
But you don't regret it?
No, I don't regret it at all. I mean, I don't think there's anything I could have changed, like I regret that people it was just I regret how freaky it was, to like people close to like my girlfriend, was like, we were locked in our apartment for like 2 weeks because we didn't want to see friends, like we only let so many people know because, we didn't want people to spread the word that it was fake, so I only let like at a certain point I needed more input on the live show. So I told like comedy friends who were helping me with the show, like, I told my friend Rory Panagiotopoulos, who was one of my writing partners, so I told him, like Chris Kelly, Dan Klein, guys who I know who are friends, who are funny, that could help me, like, create this thing. But besides for that, we were, like, locked down in my apartment, like, not talking to anybody.
It's funny that people got mad at you when they thought you were getting $1 million, and then they got mad again when you weren't getting $1 million.
Hey, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Was it the same people?
I don't know. Nobody has told me to my face that they thought the whole thing was bad. I've heard from a couple people that they know people that didn't like it, and I don't know. What are you going to do? I mean, if they don't like it, that's fine.
I mean, it's kind of like an avant-garde theater thing, sort of, right? Which isn't going to be for everybody.
I mean,
it's certainly an experimental theater thing. Is that fair to say?
I mean, it is the way. It's the only time that I've ever blended theater with life. In that, like, I wasn't playing a character. I mean, I was playing myself in the videos, but it's Craig Rowan. I say my name's Craig Rowan, so it's real. So it blended the real life and the stage. So I've never done that before. I don't think I'll do it again. You know, like
it'd be very. You're kind of like the boy who cried wolf. Like, I don't think anyone's gonna buy it next time.
Yeah, that's true.
That was kind of your one shot at it.
Yeah, and I'm happy to leave it at that. Absolutely.
It's funny that you still get emails from people, because I imagine some people probably just see the success video and then don't follow up on the next one.
Even on the actual video where I light it on fire, it's like 4.5 minutes in that happens. People stop watching and say like, he got the $1 million, like in comments from that video, like people who just gave up. You know, I mean, we have attention spans of flies, so I don't blame them. But like people just don't know. So if you email, please give me $1 million at gmail.com. and you ask for $1 million, you'll get an immediate response that says, thanks for emailing or whatever, and then it shows a link to that video.
What do you say in that email? Like, by the way, this was fake?
I say, if you want to see what happened at the live show, go here. And I let them figure it out. But I'm telling you, I get emails from, like, Romania, like, Africa. You know, like, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
You put in a very good performance in it, too. In the videos where you announced you got $1 million, like, and I think there was an announcement video where you said you were going to announce something. Is that true? But in any case, you have, like, this, like, energy in you.
Yes.
Like, you look like someone that just learned they were going to get $1 million. Did you get into that headspace by thinking about what you would do if you actually received a free $1 million?
I think for the success video, that was definitely, I will just say, not to pat myself on the back, like the best acting I've ever done, because I've never felt like I had to like create this feeling of excitement.
It's very much in there, yeah.
Yeah, so I forget what I literally had in my mind. I think it was just this giddiness of like, what would it actually feel like? And then so that was like, what would it actually feel like? And I sort of worked myself into this giggly like fury. And then for the live show, I think just the nervous energy of the whole thing was what I just played off of, because I was really scared to be on that stage by myself. Like, I brought other people on stage, but it was a nervous thing. So I sort of used that nervous energy and built it up to like, to this, you know, to the what I think it would feel like to get $1 million.
Did the media cover it at all after you revealed that it was fake?
No. The one thing that happened was the Daily News, who were the ones who wrote the big article that I think on the internet broke the story to the world and like got it to be an international news story. They called me and they said, "So this was fake?" And I was like, yeah, and I was literally in like going to the subway, and I was like, I can't talk about this now, but you know, if you want to make an interview. And then they were just like, okay, this is fake, bye. And then they wrote like a 3-line thing, you know, saying that it was fake. I don't even think it made the actual paper. I think it just went online, because honestly, nobody cared after that. You know, like, you know, like what are the, you know, the only thing they could print is we were idiots because we printed it without any proof. You know, like the Daily News, they asked me for to see the thing that said I was going to get $1 million. I said, you know what, you can print it, but I can't show you that. And if they were good, I mean, I don't mean to talk shit, but if, you know, like, you shouldn't write stuff that you're not 100%.
Yeah, it's weird that they were interested in the proof, but then followed through on it anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Was there anyone else that, like, you were just... Was there anyone that was close to uncovering the truth?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there were people that like thought it was fake, but everybody thought it. I think everybody who thought it was real thought this could be fake.
Right.
You know, like and I think the best thing that somebody told me, maybe it was Streeter or somebody, but that David Young, who works at College Humor,
until about an hour ago,
right? Exactly.
David, I guess we can talk about this. David's going to write for Jimmy Fallon.
Yes, that's
Great
right.
for David.
Congrats.
We're happy for you.
Yo, so and so. But somebody told me that his thing was the original video, please give me $1 million.
David was obsessed with this, by the way.
I can totally imagine.
David was definitely obsessed with this.
that the first video only had like 30 or 40,000 views before I announced it. So he's like, that's not, or, you know, maybe it was a little bit more or whatever, but it wasn't enough that it had reached a critical mass that maybe a Millionaire would do it. You know, he was just skeptical to it. You know, like the video now has, you know, 500,000 views, probably more through other websites and stuff. But until I announced it, it wasn't this phenomenon. You know, it wasn't
that popular.
Yeah, it wasn't like the radio guy on the Today Show. Like
Right.
he got those jobs like after it was on the Today Show and everything. You know, that blew up immediately, but mine didn't blow up until after I said I got the $1 million.
Were you ever worried that were you ever worried that you could go to jail? I don't even know what circumstances would lead you to that, but like this was not only not going to work, but blow back on you in a negative way.
I think I was worried. Like, no, I wasn't worried too. I mean, you know, people were like, will this affect your career or whatever, that people will think you're a liar? Mm-hmm. And I entertained that just because I was so scared about everything. But then at the end, I was like, I talked to enough people that I was, you know, friends with that had perspective on it. And they were like, just go through with it. You know, it's going to be fine. And I was definitely nervous that there might be a little there would be backlash. But I think that's why at the end, I didn't want it to be like a totally negative thing, you know, like, hey, fuck you, I didn't get $1 million.
Right,
it was
just like a nice takeaway message from it.
Yeah, there was just something.
Which I can now see you really believe in.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah. Like, I didn't want it to be, I wanted to give a real speech or something, you know. I didn't want it to be just like, joke's on you, you're all idiots and sheep. That's obviously not what it was about. It wasn't about that. It was just like, go for it. I don't know. I don't know. Do something really weird. But so I didn't want it to go away. I didn't want people to watch the end and be like, oh, this guy is a malicious person who wanted to really like either hurt somebody's feelings or, you know, you know, pranks aren't my thing per se, you know.
It doesn't seem like it hurt your career, as far as I can tell. And in fact, you actually did a sketch at Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
That's true,
where you were on the show with the whole audience there in like the big fancy studio. Is that in New York?
Yes.
Oh, with oh my God, can I come to a taping one day?
Sure.
Oh, that'd be great. And Meredith is like hosting the show, and it's not, you're not really on the show. It's a sketch.
Yes.
And
Sorry,
can you describe the video?
Yeah. So basically, it's me. It basically is me getting the $1 million question on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And Meredith Vieira explains that I've done what Please Give Me $1 Million is, and then she asked me the $1 million question, and I'm like, I know it. I know what the answer is 100%. It's, you know, D, final answer, please give me $1 million, and then it's wrong. And I did that. I mean, I just thought that was funny.
It was funny, but I've always wondered, and I've been saving asking you for this podcast, how did you get to do that? Because you're on the set, like, I'm assuming there's, like, a large crew that's, like, working there. Like, this is a large number of people, like, working on shooting this, like, silly little sketch for you, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, they were just super nice. They just sort of, like, I mentioned it to the executive producer, and he was really nice about it. I mentioned it to Meredith, and she was great about it. So it just, you know, it took like however long the clip is, that's how long it took to shoot it. I didn't want to take up anybody's time more than necessary, and the audience stayed like 5 extra minutes, and I sort of explained the original thing to them.
So it seems like instead of hurting your career, it seems like everyone at your new job was like, yeah, this thing's really cool. We'd love to do this thing around it.
Yeah, I think it's just a cool thing to talk about. I mean, like, I love talking about it. Please give me $1 million, because I couldn't talk about it for those 2 weeks, and I hated that, and I'm happy to talk about it. And I think people just want to know what it was, because it's this weird, super weird thing. I don't know. Is
there any element of it that we didn't cover? Because I'm about to move on to your podcast. What like should I have asked about it? You host a podcast. You tell me.
Oh, that's a good question.
And that'll lead us into the next third too.
What should you ask about it? Did I actually get $1 million?
Did you actually get $1 million?
No.
It sounds like you, in fact, spent a great deal of your own money.
Well, yeah. I mean, I definitely. Well, that's. Oh God. I mean, yeah, I did. That's the thing is, I did. I mean, there's no other question. I think, but it was just like one of the most taxing. I'm like glad it happened, but I would never do anything like that again.
Speaking of things you're putting on for yourself just for fun,
Yes.
you have a podcast.
Yes, I do. It's called It's That Episode.
Is that correct? You're doing it just for fun?
Yeah, I mean,
why did you start a podcast?
why did I start it? I like listening to podcasts. I thought it would be a cool thing to do in my free time. I like watching TV.
So can you explain the format of the show?
Basically, the show is called It's That Episode, and every week I invite a guest on. In fact, in a couple of weeks, wink, wink, I'll have Jeff Rubin on. And the wink, wink is because we're going to record it very soon.
We're recording it like immediately after we press stop on this.
But it won't go up for a couple of weeks. But
you've had also at least two people off the top of my head that have, three people that have been on this show that have also been on that show. Gabrus
cool. Yeah.
was your first guest?
Yes.
And you guys watched Avatar,
The Last Airbender.
And you had Charlie Todd, which was really interesting. Gabrus was good too, but Charlie's thing was Charlie's from Improv Everywhere, and there's there's a Law and Order based on Improv Everywhere, and Robin Williams plays like a thinly veiled character of Charlie. So it was really interesting to hear him talk about that. And Pat Castles was on your show talking about Ancient Aliens, and that was really fun to listen to too.
Yeah, it's really fun. Basically what I do is I invite a guest over to my apartment, or if not there, somewhere where we can meet easily, and we watch any episode of any TV show that they want to watch. And we watch it not on the microphones, which is sort of the funny quirk of it is like, hey, come over, we'll record a podcast. And then we start recording it. Then we turn off all the equipment and just watch a TV show together. And then we record the rest of it. So like it's interesting because there's only two people I've had on it that were there together that I didn't know beforehand, but it's just funny to like it's basically invited somebody you don't know over to watch TV with you.
So how did you end up doing that format? Why that format?
Why that format?
Did you have the idea to do a podcast first, and then you were like, well, what could I do with my podcast? I'll do this format. Or did you have the idea to do that? Did the idea come all at once?
I think it's sort of, I feel like I probably had an idea that I wanted to do a podcast, and then I was like, I won't do it unless I have something that I really feel is cool. I don't know. And I thought that would be cool because what I like about it is the thing that you watch can sort of reflect the other person that you have over. And you can end up watching interesting things and have these conversations with people that you wouldn't normally have, because a lot of the conversations I like having with people are about TV and movies.
Sure.
Like my brother and I, whenever we talk on the phone, which is pretty often, no matter what we're talking about, it definitely devolves into like Terminator 2 or like Back to we end up talking about TV shows that we watched as a kid. It's sort of like my base level knowledge.
And it's interesting because they're not all bad. Like sometimes it's a show the person really likes, like Gabrus and Avatar. Sometimes it's a show that you don't like that you did one with Full House with the found footage guys.
Right.
Or there's some interesting personal thing like Charlie and the Improv Everywhere, or
right.
Pat and his crazy conspiracy thing.
Exactly.
I fucked it up while I was making fun of Pat.
Yeah, Pat with his crazy conspiracy theories. And then I had the one that was one of the first ones that I thought had that cool element too was Seth Reese, who's the head writer of The Onion. He does like a fake Twitter account of the head writer of Matt Albee from Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. So I had him and we watched Studio 60, and that was like fun because he is obsessed with that show.
He's like a scholar of it.
Yes, he probably has more knowledge of it than most Americans.
If you were a guest on your own show, you clone yourself, now you're appearing on your own show, what episode would you ask to watch?
Great question, and I have the answer. I think I would watch the series finale of Quantum Leap.
Oh, interesting.
Because I was a huge Quantum Leap fan as a kid, and that episode it ended the series. Like, it was a complete ending, even though it left something open, and it was very strange. I remember it being very weird because he's in a mining town. I only saw it when I was a kid, I think, but I think he leaps into a mining town, and then the bartender is God, and then people leap out in front of him. So it's this weird sort of like way station or something.
And it's strange because Quantum Leap has this batshit insane premise, but it doesn't really affect the show, you know? It's kind of like Liar Liar, where it's just like some magical thing happens,
right.
and then there's a story, and the magical thing's not really what it's about. But then that last episode of Quantum Leap does get into like, well, who's been sending him to all these places?
Yeah, it sort of like questions the whole show. It sort of like brings up all these things. And I actually talked to my brother about it recently, that episode, and I'm interested. I think I might have him on the show soon because he's a same with me, like loves that stuff, and he's a film critic, so I think he'd be beyond just being my brother, be an interesting person to have on the show.
Your brother's a film critic?
Yeah.
For what?
Yeah, he writes for, well, he doesn't anymore because now he's getting his PhD in film studies, but he wrote for Elle magazine that you get in New York City, and
not Elle like ELLE.
Not
There's like a magazine in New York, Elle like a train.
Elle. He writes for.
I made the finger L like to the mic.
Dude, that's an insult. That means loser, man.
I made it at the microphone though. Like I was conscious that the microphone was the tool.
On your advanced version of the show, you should put up a picture of somebody holding their finger in it,
just so people know what we're talking about.
Yeah. And then he writes for like Film Comment. They released this huge Janus Films like. For like huge film nerds, like this huge Janus Films compendium of like 50 DVDs, and he wrote a lot of the summaries of the movies. So he's like, he's a great writer, and he's awesome. So.
It's great that your parents raised a film critic and a game show question head writer.
Yeah,
it must have been an interesting house. Is there more of you?
Is there more? No, it's
Rowans?
just us two.
Just us two.
Yeah, and we're the odd men out. It's not many of us.
It's interesting you mentioned Quantum Leap as what would be your choice, because I have selected. Can I say what I've selected?
Sure. Yeah.
The Saved by the Bell where they graduate, which is something of the series finale.
Yes,
Saved by the Bell.
It is.
They extended it a few other times, but it walks and talks.
It's
like
the
a series
actual
finale.
episodic end of the show.
Yeah, certainly of golden era classic Saved by the Bell.
Yes.
And but I chose it because I'm fascinated. And we're going to save this because I want to talk about this on your show.
Yeah.
It's a little teaser. So, but I love series finales because when you look at like a TV show, it's like there's the pilot that's like Act 1. Then there's 7 years of episodes and that's Act 2. And then like they all wrap it up in one episode. And I think you see that in both. Like Saved by the Bell, like all the kids get together, then a bunch of shit happens, and like the ending of the story is that last episode. It's kind of the same with Quantum Leap.
Yeah, and I think with a lot of shows, it's just this like slapped on bookend to it because there's not like with Saved by the Bell, there's no arc. I guess there is an arc between like Kelly and Zach, but after like 4 years, they've been through that a million times,
right.
And like with Quantum Leap, I think the arc was, will he ever get home? And will Al ever get back with his wife, who he So there are those, but it's like no matter what, it can't satisfy everybody.
Yeah, especially with old shows that weren't serialized and didn't really build anything. Let's save this for your pod. This is more It's That Episode talk. Where can people hear It's That Episode?
I think on iTunes. Just search It's That Episode, and you can check it out. It's That Episode with Craig Rowen is the name of it. Search for that on iTunes, or you can check out the blog on my website, craigrowen.com, which has I post all the new episodes on there.
Cool. And the episode that we are describing, which we haven't recorded yet, we're about to hang up and record. Hang up, is that right?
That's how you end a podcast.
We're going to hang up. That'll be up in a week or so.
I think it'll be up in it'll be up in 2 weeks, a little under 2 weeks.
Craig, thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you very much.
After we hung up, we did record Craig's podcast. We watched that Saved by the Bell, and it was totally fucking awesome. And I'll let you know when that's up so you can hear more of me and Craig talking. And I'll let you know when more Jeff Rubin shows are up if you follow me on Twitter. That's at Jeff Rubin Show. On my Facebook fan page, on Tumblr at jeffrubin.com, or on YouTube at youtube.com/Jeff Rubin, Jeff Rubin. A very sincere thanks for listening. You know what? Let's do this again next week. Bye for now.